Hi everyone. Today on the Radio Topic podcast, we will be talking about one of the beliefs that has been on the rise in recent years, astrology. Stay tuned and you will learn a little more about this belief. Let's begin. Currently, in our society, we can find a wide variety of communities made up of the different social groups that have some interests in common, such as environment communities, food communities, student communities, labor communities, and even religious communities. Today, we are going to talking about a community in it's not within religions, but does belong to a community of belief. The astrology community is one of the most recognized by Generation Z, and it's growing every day. Astrology is understood as the study of the positions and the movement of the star as a tool for the self-knowledge. Today, the astrology community has taken it upon itself to inform and support all the people who identify with this belief that they can understand themselves better. For all of who are listening to me and can keep up with my steps and have a basic knowledge of what I will be talking about in today's episode, this podcast will be divided into four parts: the history of astrology, the definition of the elementals and their signs, the planets and their houses, and finally, the problems and the solutions of this community. History. Astrology it is not categorized as a science, but it is considered a pseudoscience. This means that it is a discipline that sets its own rules and produces conclusions that are not verifiable by the science. This means that astrology can be studied as an object of the study for the science, but it is not a science in itself. From this perspective, astrology has different origins, given that the interest for finding the meaning in the stars of the night sky has been related to the humanity since the early civilization, such as China, India, the Mayan, and even Mesopotamian civilization. However, the Western astrological tradition began in Babylon and the ancient Egypt around 2000 years before Christ and was linked to the religion and the decision-making of kings. Since the beginning in this city, there has been a belief that the position of the star in the sky accurately determines the desires or the intentions of the gods. Elements and signs. In astrology, the signs are divided into four main elementals to understand them in their environment. In these categories, we will find the element Earth, which is a relational element that is thought palpable and something we can appreciate it with our sense. The air is hard and difficult to penetrate. The air represents the body and the sense. The air signs are Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Then we have the elemental of fire, which represents desire, movement, and transformation. Fire is the source of the world's energy, so it can burn, develop, and transform. Fire represents the destruction and protection of an individual. The fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. We continue with the element of water, which is one of the elements that adapts, has no shape, and is able to flow. This elemental can transport meats and go places from it begin. Water has the power to penetrate the other elements and feel them. Water represents emotions and reactions. The water signs are Pisces, Scorpio, and Cancer. And finally, the element of air, which expands and goes from one place to another, takes no shape, and it is dispersed and can be comforting like a breeze, but when it furious, it can destroy everything like a twister. Air represents thought and communication. The air signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Planets and houses. In astrology, the position of the houses and the meaning of each planet are fundamental to reading the natal chart. To help you understand, I'll provide a brief guide to each planet. The Sun and the Moon are the luminaries. The signs that are in the Moon, the Sun, and the Ascendant, the House 1, are the most important in the astrological chart. They always move forward, never retrograde, and their light is intense, making them the planets with the most vitality. The sun reflects your personality and individuality, while the moon speaks to your emotion and the instincts, representing a more hidden part of yourself. Mercury, Venus, and Mars are the personal planets, as they are closer to the Earth and the Sun, representing the everyday aspects of life. Mercury symbolizes intellect and communication. Venus represents our likes and love, and Mars embodies action and the ability to initiate. Jupiter and Saturn have slower cycles than the previous planets, making them social planets. They represent the personal sphere within the community and define our behavior in the social settings, as well as how we adapt to the living in society. Jupiter is associated with the faith, happiness, and the abundance. Saturn represents discipline, maturity, and the order that your life could have. Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are the slowest planets in the solar system, taking longer to complete their cycles. This is why they are designated as transpersonal planets, or in other words, they transcend in individual and include large life cycles, generation, and historical cycles. Uranus represents authenticity and freedom with the power of revolution and changes. Neptune represents your spirituality, imagination, and fantasy, and Pluto symbolizes death and rebirth, speaking to your power and capacity of regeneration. With this explained, we need to understand a little bit about the houses and how the planets relate to each other. The first house, anciently called Vira, the life, represents the innate tendencies of individuals' own energy, their distinctive traits, and their health. It speaks to the physical appearance, traits, and characteristics and personality that the individual exhibits. The second house, called Lucrum, the wealth, speaks to material values, money, earning, and losses. The three houses, called Frades, brothers, is the house of communication, concrete thinking, and basic education. The four houses, genitor, the father, refers to the home, to the family, and the ancestral heritage. The five houses, Philly, the children, is the house of pleasure, recreational activities, and leisure. It is the house of the children, romance, and creative expressions. The sixth house, Valetudo, the health, is the house of those who work for you, a house of the health and illness, and the house of the service rendered. The eighth house, Mars, the death, is the house of death and the circumstances including serious illnesses, suspections, and irritances. The seventh house, Uxor, spouses, is the house of partnerships such as marriage, partnerships, and enemies. It involves agreements and the treaties. The ninth house, Peregrinations, the journeys, is the house of pilgrimage travels, the journeys undertaken for the spiritual quest, knowledge, or rest. The 10th house, Regnum, the kingdom, is the house of career, professional dignity, and glory. It is the house of ambitions and the achieving success. The 11th house, Amenity Benefacta, benefits from friends, is the house of prospective friends, acquaintances, and projects. And the last one, the 12th house, Carcer, is the prison, is the house of confinement and the isolation. It includes places of confinement such as prisons, hospitals, and institutions. It's related to the chronic illnesses or those requiring confinement or withdrawal. Problems and solutions. People believe in astrology the same way that they believe in religion. The problem is that the people give both things the total decision of the future. We are very rooted in the belief of religion by the action and reaction. That means that if you do good or bad things, a supreme person that it is not known or not seen by people will perform an action that will be positivity and negativity consequences according to the action. The same thing happens to the astrology. The problem with astrology is that people blind believe that it's a reading of the future, but it is not real. Astrology is only a tool that will help you and learn more about yourself and your behaviors. Additionally, astrology will guide you on the way of your life with intention that you understand the world from the most accurate perspective. However, it is not the complete answer to all the questions in the people's life. As a solution and conclusion of this podcast, I can say that we must do research and have different interpretation of what we know about the definition of astrology, and they will understand astrology as a tool in our lives are not like a savior. That's all for this episode of Random Topic Podcast. Bye bye.